Hello and welcome to Cultivate to Thrive podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Gunn. I'm a self actualization and mindset coach at Cultivate and Thrive. And I am on a mission to help Christian professional moms thrive in their reclaimed value while they cultivate a fulfilling and purposeful life. Now, many times on these episodes, you will just hear me sharing some tips and some things, some knowledge to help you improve and move forward. Sometimes I'll have special guests that have something great to share, especially things that I want to share with you to help you in your journey of life. Now, you can find this podcast, whether it's live or on replay, here on my own Michelle Gunn LinkedIn page, Facebook page, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also find my business page, Cultivate and Thrive, on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and my website, michellegunn.com. That's right, my website is Michelle Gunn, 1L, 2 N's, michellegunn.com. I invite you to participate in the comment section. I invite you to reach out to me via email, DM. You can find contact information on my website. Let's chat. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Cultivate to Thrive podcast, balancing acts, crafting flexible work and work assignments with faith and family at the core. Please drop your name and where you're joining from in the comments. If you are joining on the replay, hashtag replay, so I know who I'm reaching. Hi, Judith. Thank you for joining today. How's the weather in Finland? Hope you're having an awesome Wednesday. Now, generally, I start with scripture share, but today I was drawn to wear my shirt. Let's see, and it is choose prayer over panic. And I think that has really struck a chord with me, and I know it will with many people who are struggling today in different areas of life. And I think it kind of goes along with the topic, right? Looking for that work-life balance, or as a lot of people like to say, harmony, which I think may be much easier to accomplish than balance, because balance implies that things are equal, right? We think of a scale and it's balanced when they're equal. Life will seldom, if ever, be equal and balanced. But harmony is definitely something we can all strive for. And what will that look like? It'll look different for each and every person, because again, we're all individuals. We are different. We have different needs. We have different gifts. We have different talents. We have different lives. So I do want to talk a little bit today again about this, creating this um, flexibility in work. And it really depends on what your function is, what kind of company you work for, and what your job is. Many people cannot have a flex work schedule or a flex work environment. Like, we hear a lot about working remote. There's a lot of jobs that can't work remote, and there are some that are way better if they're done remote. There are some jobs that you cannot have the flexibility that you can go into the office X days or stay home X days, because of the type of work we do. And we need everything in the world. Imagine going out to dinner and there be no one to serve you at the restaurant. Whereas yet there's no chef. Chef can't work remotely, right? How are they going to make your food? So we really need to think about what the jobs are. But I want to start with a little story. Let's meet Sarah. She's a marketing manager and a mother of two. Like many of us, she found herself struggling to juggle her demanding job with her responsibilities at home. After months of feeling torn between her work and family, she decided to explore flexible work options. Today, Sarah works from home 3 days a week and has flexible hours that allow her to be present to her kids' important moments. Her journey wasn't easy, but it's a testament to what's possible when we advocate for our needs. And again, today, there are many flexible work arrangements available. So you need to discuss, we're going to discuss uh, work work strategies, negotiation strategies, and integrate faith-based solutions to help you navigate this journey. And again, you really need to think about what it is you do and if it is even possible to add some of these things into your schedule. Um, when my kids were younger, I was not in a position where I could do any flex or remote work. So that is where my vacation and PTO came in handy. When they had important events or doctor's visits, that's what I used it for. That was my sacrifice for my kids as they were growing up, was my PTO, my paid time off. But so if we look at flexible work arrangements to really get an understanding of what it means, we look at remote work. So, what's the definition and the benefits and challenges of remote work? So, remote work generally means not working in the office, right? It allows you to work from home or maybe other locations outside of traditional office. I have been in jobs in the past where I was able to do that. I would go to a library to work, to a coffee shop, or work from home. It offers the freedom to create a workspace that suits your own needs, but it can also blur the lines between work and home life. When COVID hit, many people were sent home. And I think that's where remote work started to flourish and where employers were able to see that, hey, I can trust my staff to get the job done. And in instances, they're actually more productive out of. It's nice. I got up in the morning. Um, you know, I'm gonna confess I didn't always get totally dressed. I might have been presentable from the waist up because nobody saw me except from the waist up. Um, I would have breakfast with my family. I could take my lunch break with my family and be home at a great hour for dinner because there was no commute time. Those were some of the benefits. I could work at hours that I was more productive in. I'm a morning person, so more early morning hours are best for me. As it gets in the afternoon, I start getting snoozy. I don't take naps, but I could really see a difference in my productivity. So I could take a break, have a snack, and then come back to work regenerated. Now, some of the lines that were actually blurred were my family thought since I was home, I was always available. You know, they had a simple question for mom, like where something was, and my husband was just as guilty. They would just barge in. I could be doing a live stream, I could be having a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and they would just barge in. So I did have my husband create a sign for my door since he does woodworking, that I could slide to say if I'm available or unavailable. And that worked. That has worked pretty well for us, except for the rare occasion when people think signs don't apply. And sometimes family doesn't pay attention, or sometimes I forget to slide if I'm available or not. So that's on me. But that's one of the ways that I adapted during COVID, which helped me today to have some flexibility. Flexibility in your work can also mean having flexibility in the hours you work, right? It might mean starting your day earlier and ending earlier. It might mean mean starting your day later and ending later. It could mean a 4-day work week, 3.5-day work week, depending on what works well for your employer and you. It could be your so many days on work and then so many days off work. And you learn to plan around those things. But you really need to look at, what is feasible to implement so that you are your most productive, can still be part of the team at work, whatever that looks like for you. And that there's communication is kept open. Especially in the early stages of these flexible work schedules, if it is something new for your company, usually management needs to adjust and being able to trust that the work will get done. So there's got to be proper checks and balances in place for that. Um, we look at if we're not in that situation, if this is not something the company automatically offers, we might want to think about negotiating, um, starting with you or make it company wide, department wide, whatever really makes sense. But before you approach your employer with this kind of topic, it's really crucial to understand the needs and priorities of the company. What needs to happen? What availability do you need to have to properly do your job so that your employer doesn't suffer? Because the benefit of having you as an employee is not just for you and your paycheck or your purpose, it's also for the company and the employer to get benefits from you to help build their company, their customer base, retain, sell products, get the word out, whatever your role is. So you really need to look at that and reflect on what arrangement would best support your work and your family life. Do research on your company's policies, right? There may be policies in place that have not been implemented or were implemented and for some reason didn't work out, so they stopped them, but the policies still exist. That would give you a good foundation to work on. But if it's the case that they had them and then ceased, you need to know what didn't work out so you can see how to address those issues to assure your employer that it can still work. You need to figure out what the mutual benefits are and make that the focus of your negotiations. Explain how the flexibility can enhance your productivity and commitment, which in turn usually affects the bottom line of the company, right? If the employees are more productive, it's a win for the company. Usually, profits go up. Communication is always key. It's key in everything, especially here. Make sure you're clear, assertive, not pushy, but assertive, strong in your belief with data and facts to back it up. Be prepared to address potential concerns with practical solutions. It helps if you have an understanding of what your employer's concerns might be because then you can address them. Sometimes, excuse me, on a talking role. Sometimes when we get busy, we forget that there are these one offs, things that pop up, the unicorns per se. So you need to have a plan in place if something like that happens. Like, what if there's an emergency with the client and they need to get hold of you immediately and it's not your work day? How will you be flexible to address that issue? And again, when we're looking at this compensation and the way your role is set up is very intertwined in what the solution will look at like. So you might want to look at that as well and be educated on how that is affected in a legal sense as well as a practical sense. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It means there might be more negotiations or changes that are unforeseen. But if you kind of see them coming, you'll have a better case for what should be a win-win solution for both you and your employer, right? So you need to, again, for negotiation strategies, just an overview. You need to know your needs. You need to do research and preparation. So, gathering data on the company, policies in place, what has been successful, what hasn't been successful, how do you work around it, what benefits the companies will have. Use those to build your case for what you're looking to, um, how you're looking to bring harmony with your role and the company. And remember, articulation is important. Make sure there's understanding when you're communicating. Ask questions for clarifications. Look at body language. Look at fa- facial expression. I'm a big one for that. When I was an internal auditor, I was always told I need to work on that because no matter what I said, people could tell what I was thinking. So think about that. Think about how you relay the whole thing and think about how they're receiving it. You may need to clarify and you may need to make on the spot adjustments. So always be prepared for that and be prepared for the objections. Now, if you're prepared well, you should be able to know what to expect, what the objections are, but know what the objections may be beyond the normal. Well, what if I can't reach you? What if this comes up? I like having you here. I like to see you doing your work. I like interacting. Those are some common objections. We won't feel like a team if we're not together. So also think about what else might occur that's out of the norm that they could bring up. And compensation is one of them. How you're compensated, how PTO is used, things like that can throw a wrench into these negotiations. So be prepared when you're thinking about these topics and getting ready for this negotiation. So when we're looking at, again, I said I wanted to bring faith into this, right? So our faith can provide a solid foundation for balancing work and family. Scriptures like Proverbs 31, 10 through 31 celebrate the virtues of a diligent and caring woman, highlighting the importance of managing household and professional responsibilities. And again, if there's any men watching today or in the replay, these apply to you as well, right? Men have a wide role, a diverse role in their family, as women do, especially in today's society where we have single parent homes. We're often not just a breadwinner, we're the only breadwinner. We are what our family depends on for everything, for making the money, for providing the food, for paying the housing, for taking care of the house and the yard and the health care, homework help, taking care of our children. Then we have extended family like our parents as they're aging. There's lots of responsibilities in there. So when you're looking at also negotiating, keep in mind what the future may hold. But do keep these biblical principles there as well. Prayer and discernment, remember? Prayer over panic, prayer over panic are powerful tools for seeking guidance and making these important decisions. Meditate, pray, spend time in nature, whatever it needs to help you get grounded and connect and discern the right answers. Sometimes what we want is not what we need. So, really determining the difference between what you want and what you need, what will work best for everybody in this situation. Once you've come up with all of these things, create some practical steps for implementation, right? Create a detailed plan outlining your proposed flexible arrangement. Back to your faith, use your faith community for support. Reach out for people who are in similar roles that are in situations like you would like your work situation to become, see how that came about. See what their plan is. Have them help you, right? Practice the negotiation conversation with a mentor or a friend to build your confidence. Let them be harsh with you. Let them play the devil's advocate. That will only help prepare you for what may or may not come. And if your friend, someone who you trust, can be totally blunt and honest and look at the very negative or opposite way as you do, it will help you be stronger and prepare better for the discussion. Make sure that all the agreements are documented to avoid misunderstanding. This happens a lot in conversation. Many times, I know I'm guilty of it, as I'm learning myself more and more every day and being more aware of who I am. It's easier for me to pick up on these things that I have a tendency to do. And it's funny because it's very easy for me to see other people doing it. My husband, for example, is a great example, and I will call him out on it, and he'll call me out on it. And that's how we learn and get better. So, having someone you can practice with can help you and can help you to see what's actually doable, what's good for both you and the company. And again, documenting these. If there's not going to be a formal written agreement, I encourage you to follow up the conversation with an email outlining your understanding. Make sure you notate when it will begin, what day it will start. Is it going to start the beginning of the workday, end of the workday? I'm telling you, people think differently. Take it down to a basic level of understanding every little thing. Just make sure you're not demeaning, that you're not talking down to your employer, your supervisor, your manager, your leader, whoever it may be. And if this strategy can help other people in the company, talk to other people, get their opinions and their feedbacks, and see if there's an arrangement where everyone can benefit. And having more people on board helps move forward with the negotiations. Make sure that there are regular check ins with your employer. If you are successful, because you're going to be, because you're going to do the work that's needed, you already know what's appropriate to ask for, right? Through your preparation, you're not going to ask for something where it's an easy no, because you shouldn't be asking for it if it's an easy no, because there's a solid reason why it shouldn't be done. So make sure throughout the process you're checking in with your employer to review and adjust the arrangements as needed. There are times when something sounds really good in theory, but in practice, it just doesn't work. It could be on the employer's end that they're not getting the results, they're not feeling connected, the clients are missing out on something, products not, you know, being created or delivered timely, or it can be on your end. It could be this flex work schedule is not all it's cracked up to be for you. It could be that you're interrupted more at home than if you were in the office. It could be you have a crappy internet connection and it really, really intervenes in your work. So, through trial and error, review and discussion, you can adjust and find something that works good for both of you. The most important thing is that everyone is on the same page, right? This is for the benefit, again, of the employer as well as the employee to have balance, harmony, in your life because a happy employee is a more engaged and productive employee. And what that means for the employer is better profits, more successes in the company. Not always about only profits, although generally, that's what companies are about. But sometimes it takes a while to get to the profits. So there's wins before you get to the profits. So we need to make sure you keep that in mind as well. I hope I wasn't too scattered today, but just as an overview, really discern what it is you need or want. And if it's what you want, is it what you need? And does it work for the company? What does that look like? How can that be implemented? Does it affect the compensation? Will that need to be adjusted? Does it interrupt the team model? How is communication going to be carried out? So it still feels like it's a cohesive team, department, company, and keep the lines of communication open always. Don't just put your needs first. Keep everyone's needs together. I hope this has been a helpful episode. I hope it can help you to determine if you can incorporate some kind of a flexible work assignment for yourself or for your employees to help create the balance, the harmony that we all need in life to be engaged employees and engaged people everywhere else in our life as well. If you found this useful, I appreciate shares very much. Follow, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cultivate and Thrive. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them or send me a DM. I would appreciate hearing feedback as well. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week. And if this is something you pursue, let me know how it goes. I would love to hear about your journey. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Cultivate and thrive.